Dun 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 dun. Do you really want to hurt me? Do you really want to make me cry? Do you really want to have me? I don't know how that song goes. I only know that. I only know that part. I only know that intro part. What's up, internet? What's going on? Oh man, the camera's all weird today. How you doing, everybody? What's going on? Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. Oops, I forgot to turn off. Sorry, guys, I forgot to turn off the other computer. Oh, you shush now. You shushy shush computer number 3, whatever your name is. I think that one's named Computron. Let's find out. Oh, gosh, guys, I want to find out. Computron 6000. That's what that one's named. Well, shush, Computron, you stinker. All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Good to see you. As Bentley Pascal has pointed out, it's the Unreal Fish Talk. That's right. It's not the real fish talk. We're just doing some fish talk today, mainly because I don't have much of a topic today. We're just going kind of fast and loose on a Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. We don't know what's happening. We never really know what's happening. It's Wednesday, and I got about 3 hours of sleep last night and a nap this morning. So, been a little bit wild. That's okay. We got the baby in the house, baby Olivia. Here's a picture of her, just in case you're like, it can't be real. It is real. She is real, and she is wonderful. She was a little fussy last night, and there's no reason to make Vicky stay up all night, so I stayed up with our baby and finally got her to go to bed around 7 something in the morning. I don't know. I got awoken from my slumber at 3:13 a.m. And I worked yesterday, so I didn't quite get to bed until about 11:30 or something like that. So, yeah, it was fine, though. You know, I'm like 100 already, so it's all good, you know. I don't need that much sleep. I'm old already. So, not that bad, but basically spending some time with my family today and doing family stuff, and only just a little bit of work in the fish room, so I didn't really have that much, like, as far as the topic goes, because, I was just basically doing maintenance and stuff today, so our video portion of the day is just basically doing some maintenance and stuff. We'll probably talk about that. We'll definitely answer some questions from the chat. We'll definitely give a shout-out to James Neesham for the £4.56 super chat, coming all the way from the other side of the ocean through the power of the internet. Thanks, James. Let's say what's up to another James. James Lyser first to the chat today. 54 Punchy. Brett Della Mako. Mako says haven't been here in a while. Well, hey man, you got to show up. You know why not? Who knows? Bentley Pascal is here, which I have to meet up with Bentley here fairly soon. We gotta do some of that hanging out with Bentley, which means I gotta get some rarefied plants together so that I can trade him. Which I don't know. We got to go through our list and figure out like what either of us need so that we can pass it around. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? We can trade plants. That's legal, right? I mean, they're legal plants, so it's not like we're doing anything. It's not like we're doing anything weird, you know. We're doing just normal fish nerd stuff. Well, I would say I'm more of a plant nerd than I am a fish nerd, necessarily. And we have a couple of emails to get to today, which will be super fun. I got to close some of these extra windows I got going on here. I don't know if you guys know, but I've been getting weird about building a new computer that is on the horizon right now because we're just overwhelming this little computer I built here 2 years ago. We're basically getting to that point. And I think I have figured out exactly what I figured out what computer I'm going to build. I'm still torn. I'm definitely going to be building an AMD computer this time. I'm not going to build an Intel computer again. Not to say that Intels don't work. They certainly do. I'm currently broadcasting on an i7 Intel computer right now. But the big downside for me is somebody that has to upgrade regularly. Me, as somebody who has to upgrade on a regular basis. Intel has let me down as a company because just because they change. So if you think of it this way, like, hold on, I'll get a slate. I'm gonna get like an example that you guys can look at. So we've got this SD card right here. Think of this as a computer chip, and I got this little case here, and it's got to go in this specific little case, right? Only fits in here, and then the little door closes. So the CPU, which is the chip in your computer, the big brain part, has to go into a specific case just like that inside your computer, and Intel keeps changing them dramatically. And it's not like you can just take an old board and put the new a new chip in it if it doesn't fit into the slot. Now, Intel changes those on a regular basis. So, I have an older motherboard. I have an old board that the chip would go into, and they're like, nah, we don't support that anymore. So I would end up having to spend an exorbitant amount of money on an old computer chip and put it into this board to hopefully just only incrementally improve it. So that's not going to work for me, obviously. I think anybody would be able to make that decision. It's like, it's like, let me spend a whole bunch of money on my car and it only goes 2 miles an hour faster. That's not a good race car. I mean, I guess it's a decent analogy. Miki Seus says AMD does the same thing. It's not just Intel. AMD has announced that the Ryzen chips will be, so not the Threadripper, but the Ryzen, the 7 series, all that kind of stuff. So AMD is going to be continuing the same AM4 socket until 2020. So there will be 2 years worth of CPUs coming out over the next 2 years, right? That will be going into the AM4 slot, okay? And so that's why I think I'm definitely going to go back to AMD. They, I even have that old computer over there that's like my email computer and stuff that I like. It's like I watch YouTube on it and respond to emails and, type out word stuff and things like that. That is an old AMD computer, and it still works fine. It's like 6 years old. So I know that they dropped the ball in between there with some of the chips that they came out with, but the everything that they have coming out now with the Zen architecture and all that is everyone's giving it pretty good reviews. So I think I'm going to go with that and go that route because I'll be able to get the new chip as time goes along. I forget who was it. Somebody was questioning here how much RAM on my i7. I think I have this computer right here. I think has 64 gigs in it, which is kind of a waste of money, honestly. But I do already have my RAM here that went on super sale. It's 32 gigs of RAM, which will be fine for what I do because most of the stuff I do isn't super RAM intensive. And I think the board that I'm going to go with is quad channel, or dual channel instead of quad channel. Mainly just because of cost. Like, I don't want to have to buy a whole bunch more RAM and stuff like that. And I think it's going to work fine for my use. And I think it's going to be a lot of savings as far as money goes. As you guys know, money's pretty tight around here. I bought a new gimbal, which I'm happy to say that the gimbal is actually working. I've got it to work about 90% of what I want it to do. So if you guys don't know what a gimbal is, it is what you mount your camera to, and it keeps all those super steady shots that are so lovely. That everybody loves that steady camera work, right? That's how I'll be able to do that out on the go if I do, in fact, get booked on any trips this coming year in 2019. We shall see. I did spend some time. I was about an hour and a half on the phone today to try and organize some stuff for 2019 with your boy Mike from Aqua Pros. If you guys don't know who Aqua Pros, you probably live under a rock. I love that guy, and we'll probably be doing some projects here pretty soon. We'll see how it goes. We got the new baby here and getting things organized, and he just moved to a new house, so I think things might get into a rhythm here, and I might be able to get some stuff going. Now that you guys have had a chance to throw some questions in here, let me get some answers here. The Nutty Mechanic, who on earth needs 64 gigs of RAM? Even 32 is kind of overkill. Either way, more RAM always. Yes, I believe when I got RAM for this computer, I think I got it was like, it was basically like buy two, get two free or something like that. So that's why I ended up going that route. 32 gigs of RAM DDR4 is going to be plenty for anybody out there, realistically. Even if I do 3D modeling or any of that kind of stuff, it's still only even hits like 9-10 gigs of RAM. So as long as you're over 16, I think most people would be fine out there. Even if you are editing video and rendering video and stuff like that, it's plenty nowadays. So I would just make sure the thing that you want to pay attention to with RAM is that you populate correctly. So one of the formats that's out there now is called the Threadripper. That actually works on quad channel RAM, so you actually do need 4 sticks of RAM in the appropriate slots to make sure that it works properly. Is my audio quiet? Well, I mean, if audio's quiet, we can jack it up. We'll raise that volume up a little bit. There you go. Hey man, I like to blow out the speakers. You guys know me. I'll blow out speakers all day long. You know what I'm talking about. Douglas says the high-speed RAM for AMD is a little bit pricey right now. Yes, I will agree with that. As you guys can see, this is actually 3,000 megahertz, which isn't the 3600 or anything like that. Honestly, I guess I would say my medium experience, I would not call myself an expert. I would not call myself an amateur. I'm just one of those computer nerds that grew up, you know, I'm almost 40, so I did grow up around computers. Like, I mean, I still know DOS prompts and stuff like that back in the days when you actually had to instruct the computer on what thing to open, you know. So, you know, I do know a fair bit, and that's kind of one of the caveats of just constantly working on this stuff all the time. I just kind of do know a fair bit, but I would say anything really over 3,000 megahertz is sort of just overkill, realistically. I think you're just going to use up more electricity. You're going to just kind of create more heat, and you're kind of just going to run into weird clocking issues and stuff like that, which, you know, if you can afford it to go more expensive, cool. I would say that I think this one, yeah, so this is the 3000, that's like C15. So if you divide that, you kind of get the best bang for the buck, really. So, you know, that's where I literally spent my money, and I would recommend it to you guys too. I happen to get the white variety just because I don't happen to have any white RAM. I have blue, red, and I think black and something else. So I just said, well, hey, let's keep them color weird. Miki actually knows the Run C Wolfenstein Wolf 3D. If you know what Wolfenstein is, Kudos to you. But do you know the DOS prompt for Jumpman? That's the question I have. Do you know the Commodore 64 prompt for Jumpman? How about that? How about go even deeper? I would say somebody could win something. I don't have any prizes right now. I mean, I guess if somebody was around, I would definitely give them some prizes. As John was here this weekend, came and bought the 180-gallon. Happy to say that the 180-gallon has been rehomed to a new lovely home. They were awesome. They're so cool to meet them. They came out. I kind of showed them the fish room. And I basically gave them some extra stuff, and they were super appreciative of it. So I'll be honest, you know, I'm happy that the 180 is no longer just sitting and not being used. So that's pretty exciting. And I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy about that. That's cool. And I'm also happy that those guys were happy with everything I got. You know, I got them a CO2 kit. I got them some LED lights. I got them a sump. I got them a bunch of stuff for the 180. And they were super happy. And I was super happy. Like, to meet them was awesome. It's great to be able to meet some of the local fish fans and stuff. And then it definitely was great to be able to pass on that tank that I know I'm going to get some really cool pictures and stuff. Or at some point in time. I don't. It's a big tank, so I don't have an expectation that it's going to be set up this weekend. But that was super cool. There's John. He says it's awesome. I may keep the kid in it. Yeah, it would work. You could fit. I think any child under 13, you could definitely just fit right in there. So that was something cool over the weekend, you know, speaking of fish and fish tanks, and that's pretty much the majority of what we talk about here. You know, as you know, we kind of jumped in on a little computer talk just because I want to keep you guys appraised on what's going on, you know, here. As you know, I fixed the gimbal, which was a big problem. And, you know, honestly, I started making a video about that gimbal because I was just so... I don't know. I was super frustrated, and I started making a video of me being super frustrated at it. And I realized, like, I went back and like looked at it. I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to put this up online. This is just rude. So I've been emailing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and, like, you know, Facebook chatting and all that with them and stuff. And I think I've got it sorted out. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that gimbal at this point to very many people, though. Honestly, I just wouldn't. As it turns out, like, one of the biggest issues with it are the motors on it. I don't think that the motors are rated for what they say that they're rated for. Because, you know, to be honest with you guys, like, I'd ordered a whole new camera because I'm gonna be replacing the 80D with the M50. It's a much smaller, more compact mirrorless camera. There's some really good deals on it right now. I just couldn't pass it up because I still want to use my smaller lenses. As you guys know, I have a large collection of smaller Canon lenses, and I still want to be able to utilize those as I move forward in being able to make, you know, better documentary style videos and stuff like that. And the M50 came like way down this kind of Christmas season, so I decided to pick it up before it goes back up again. Like, yeah, here's, let me get the link. So this is literally, I would say, after having used this for a little while, if anybody out there is thinking about getting into YouTube or even just making videos or whatever, and there's a lot of expensive cameras out there and stuff, that camera right there is pretty much out of the box ready to go for you. And it's $300 off right now. So it's normally like $8.99, $7.99. Right now it's $5.99. I know that that's not $0. I understand. Like, I threw it onto credit and just said I'm going to figure it out. And I had worked some jobs a little while ago that I did have a little bit of money saved up from that. So And I will say, after the last week of using this camera, let me see, how long have I had this thing? Yeah, I've had it about a week. I would say after a week of using it, pretty good. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's the perfect camera. I wouldn't say it's, you know, I won't say that it'll like cure cancer or anything like that, but pretty solid camera. It comes with a lens that I think pretty much anybody could use. It has two cool things in it that I've completely disabled one of the cool things. Like, let's say you're somebody that doesn't know very much about using cameras and whatnot. There's a whole menus in there that are really user-friendly for somebody who's brand new to cameras. It's really easy to use, and it really explains a lot as to like what setting you're on, what you got going on, and that kind of stuff. I've obviously disabled that. You can go to the classic thing too, but so that is really cool. Part of the software that's really helpful. I think if anybody that was a little bit confused about, you know, how to use the camera, I think it'll be a great stepping stone for anybody that wants to get into camera stuff, or even if you just wanted to get one, you'd be able to film with this thing for a really long time. The 4K on it is garbage, so don't buy this camera for using it in 4K. If you don't know what that means. 4K is like the HD of HD, but don't worry about that. You want to shoot in 1080p anyhow. The files are just way too huge for 4K to do anything with. But long story short, it will take the 4K image and crop it way down, so you'll be shooting like out of basically like a little tiny area. So don't get it for 4K because it's not going to be the camera for that, but it will be fantastic for a lot of people out there for a long time. And I think about $600 is pretty awesome, realistically, to just be like, oh, that's a camera I can just use. Oh, damn, you know. But overall, over the last week, I'm pretty happy with using it. But the main reason I got it is it's lightweight. I'm able to use the lenses that I already have from the smaller lenses that I have with it. And I can keep using those instead of buying a $4,000 camera and then having to buy $4,000 lenses and stuff like that. So I think that'd be a good deal for anybody. But the reason I got it is so I'd be able to use it on the gimbal and then just basically have it on the gimbal all the time. So basically just have it preset for just to be on the gimbal and just use it as my gimbal camera at all times, because I don't even think that there's a gimbal out there that'll hold the 6D Mark II. I mean, I think there is one out there, but it's gigantic. So that's not going to work out that well, honestly. Alana's asking, how does it work for macro photography? So far, so good. I haven't put my big macro lens on there yet, but I was using my 24 to 105 and shooting some macro with it. Pretty good. Nice kind of blown out background, isolated. You know, the isolated subject, that's pretty much what you're looking for in macro photography. You want real sharpness on the thing that you're focusing on, and then everything else behind it just sort of blurred out, right? That's what makes everything look all super fancy, right? When you're a fancy man, photographer guy or gal, you know, that's what makes it look super fancy. The blown out background does quite well, and it will pick up, focus awesome. Just as long as you're not just completely auto-focusing in macro photography. Don't try to autofocus in macro photography. It's just, I don't know. Until the computer has AI built into it, or until the camera has AI built into it, it's not going to be that great. We have a super chat from the Zombie Drummer. What's up? Says, expanding my fish room and wondering if I will need to upgrade my air pump. I will need to supply 12 to 18 sponge filters, and I'm currently running a pump rated at 793 gallons per hour. GPH? Is it GPH with air? I don't know. Bigger manifold or bigger pump? Ooh. Man, that is a hard one to answer right out the gate like that. I would think what I would do is I would build a bigger manifold and then see what you got. I know that that sounds like a terrible answer, but I think what I would do is build the manifold because that really wouldn't cost that much money. And then worst case scenario, okay, yeah, actually, hold on. No, I have a decent answer for this. Okay, I would build the manifold fully to like the 18. I think it's 12 to 18. I think that's what you said, 12 to 18 sponge filters. Yeah, there we go, 12 to 18 sponge filters. I would build it to that size and see how well that air pump actually works to operate the sponge filters, and then I would cut the manifold in half if it's not big enough, and then just cap off that end and maybe order the same air pump that you have, and then you could just run 2 and save a little bit of money and still use the one that you have. I think that's what I would do. I think personally that's what I would do, is I think I would go that route. Build the manifold, and then if you need another pump, buy the same one and then just split that manifold in half. I think that's what I would do. Hopefully that would work. I don't know off the top of my head ratings for air pumps. I just don't. I just don't mess with them that often, that I just don't know the ratings off the top of my head to really know exactly what like how many sponge filters that size of an air pump would actually run. Bonkers About Alice says, hi from the UK. Well, hi from the US. Let's see. Do you think an algae scrubber could have any beneficial effect on a freshwater tank, or does that only matter for saltwater? From Tyler Clinkscales. Algae scrubbers on freshwater tanks, they are awesome. But be aware, you're going to have to build your own algae scrubber or spend a ton of money on a couple of pieces of plastic, basically. I think every algae scrubber out there that I've ever seen was pretty wildly overpriced. And I wonder if there's even any... I wonder if there's even any on Amazon. Let me see if there actually is one on here or not. Santa Monica filtration, H2O salt or upflow algae scrubber. Okay, so here is one. How much is this one? $350. That's like a kick right in the crotchal region if you catch my drift. $350, man. Sakes alive. Oh, this one's $750. Oh, that's friendly. Woo, man. These algae scrubbers are next level crazy expensive. Yeah, ultimately that's the downside. You know what? You got me. I think I'm going to build one and show you guys how to build one. I'm going to see if I have enough parts to just build one in my garage. I think I probably do. I'm trying to think. Because I need water flow. I need some screen. I'll probably just use Metalamat. That's always been kind of the best as far as my concern goes. Wow, that is a lot of money. Yeah, algae scrubbers are totally useful. They are very useful in freshwater tanks if you have a sump. The one downside is that you can really ramp them up and get them going pretty wild. When, if you're pumping a lot of light into it, and you could create a fertilizer deficiency cycle of craziness that you might end up dealing with. I am pretty sure I need to add one to the 240 at this point. That tank has gotten so far along. Speaking of that, let's go to the video. Why not? Why not play the video in the background while we talk about it, right? Uh-oh, the whiteboard's interfering with my ability to make sure that this plays from the beginning. Come on now. It's beginning to look like the beginning of the fish video. You know. All right, there we go. So this is the 240 as it stands right now, and this is basically just me doing some maintenance, cleaning the glass a little bit. I got some green spot algae on the front of the glass, which is the most annoying thing, second only to hair algae, which this stupid tank, I'm still battling the hair algae. It's an ongoing struggle, but as you can see, the plants are kind of slowly but surely catching up and will hopefully outproduce the algae, but I realistically am not, I'm not 100% on that it's going to work out great. I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to work out great. Oh, man. Check that out. You see that puffer back there? Where'd he go? Where did that puffer go? Oh, it's back in this region, hiding out. See him? See him back there? This is why I love these puffers. It is fantastic, but I'm having trouble trying to really, really enjoy them, and that's because they hide out so well, because they're hunting, and they don't want to be spotted. And you guys will notice that the rummy nose population is a little bit low because a big portion of the school is in the overflow, and a big portion of the school is back in the right-hand corner, back over there. For whatever reason, they found something to eat back there, and they were hanging out back there doing their own thing. I don't know what it was all about. I think one of the puffers must have killed something, and then the rummy nose were going buck wild trying to get it. Shannon Hill says, "Wait, a puffer?" Yes, I got 3. We got 3 puffers in the 240 now. The Scutadenti, however you say it, Scoot and Fruity puffers. We have 3 of them now, courtesy of one of the Oceaneers, Preston himself. So yeah, I'm loving them puffers in there. We shall see long term how well they do.